And we're live, I believe. See if okay. So we got some people dialed in. This is Brendan. I'm the volunteer coordinator here at the Epic Ride. And we're just kind of getting things squared away right now. We're going to give our last minute stragglers a few minutes to join us. Alrighty then. So right now we've got 18 people watching, and I know there's not a lot of exciting stuff going on. I promise many thrills and a lot of enjoyment coming up, but we're going to give about another 4 or 5 minutes for our last minute volunteers to join in and get started with this. So we appreciate your patience and you coming and joining us for the Epic Ride Volunteer Training Online Edition. Like I said, we're going to wait a couple more minutes. Let any stragglers join us. We got about 22 people watching right now. So we're going to wait a few more, see if we can get now 23. It just went from 22 to 23. That was a very exciting moment. Can we make it to 25? I think we can. So those of you that are in here right now, I will do my best to answer questions as it's coming through. But of course, I'm going to be reading from my script. I have my little right here, my little notes, and I'll try to get to those questions whenever I can. If you could be patient, though, and let me go through those one by one as they come up, or even wait till the end and only put a question if you think it's really important or pertinent to that information right there. And I'll do my best to address it midstream. And if not, I'll wrap around to the end. And of course, between now and event day, you can always contact us at volunteer@brooklyngreenway.org. You've probably gotten numerous volunteer emails from me so far, so you can contact me there. It is 7:06, and we are going to wait just one more minute. Oh, we're at 24. We made it to 24 people watching. Let's see if we can't get that to 25. We're going to wait just one more minute, and let the last stragglers join us. And at 7:07, we're going to kick this off. Thanks, Ray. I appreciate it. I'm coming in clearly. It's always weird, I know there's a lag between the time I say stuff, so I don't know if that actually comes through clearly on your end. But if anything is unclear, once again, please do not hesitate to contact me direct via email or message here, and I can go over it in a little bit more depth. Thanks for joining us, Douglas. All right, then. Okay, so we're going to get going right now. First off, thank you for joining us for the 2018 Epic Ride Volunteer Training Online Edition. My name is Brendan Degan, and I am the volunteer coordinator this year for the 2018 Epic Ride. Thank you so much for being part of the Epic Ride. I sincerely mean this. This ride happens because of you, the volunteers. Without your help, we wouldn't be able to put this on. So before we dive into the Epic Ride, it's important to mention why this ride exists. The Epic Ride is hosted by the Brooklyn Greenway Initiative. That is the nonprofit organization committed to the establishment, development, and long-term stewardship of the Brooklyn Waterfront Greenway from Greenpoint to Bay Ridge. Through partnerships with public and private organizations such as DOT, BGI focuses on building and maintaining the Greenway, creating green spaces, including stormwater infrastructure along the Greenway, and hosting programs and events to promote the use of the Greenway, such as the Epic Ride or the Brooklyn Greenway Half Marathon and 5K. For more information, and if you haven't visited the website, you should just go on. If you have visited it, go check out what else is new. Go to brooklyngreenway.org, learn about the events that they're putting on and the great works that they do. The Brooklyn Greenway right now is 18 miles, and eventually it'll be 26 miles, and it's really a very important undertaking, and events like this, once again, wouldn't happen without the help of you, the volunteer. So, on July 21st, in case you didn't remember, around 1,000 participants, maybe 800, we're not sure quite yet, will come together for the 10th annual Epic Ride. The event is an opportunity to ride either 25 or 40 miles along the Brooklyn's waterfront from Greenpoint to Reese Park Beach. We'll be riding through city, state, and national parks while taking in the sights of the city. So, how to prepare and what to bring. So 25 to 40 mile bike rides and sometimes 6, 4, 8 hours of volunteering. Those are long days. So plan your trip ahead of time, accounting for less frequent trains, buses due to time. You remember it's on the weekend. So know your MTA schedule. Check it. We expect you at your respective start times on time. The event happens because of you. Please don't hold us hostage. Please make your position and your volunteer start time on time. Bikes with bike lock and helmet for the Marshals, comfortable shoes, the turn sheet, which I emailed out this evening. You can favorite that on your phone, a fully charged phone, and with ideally an extra battery. We will hopefully have phone charging stations available at the different rest stops, but don't count on it. Just like we will have water available at the rest stops, but don't count on it. Bring your own water bottle. Bring sunblock. Bring weather-appropriate clothing. The weather could be cold in the morning, hot on the Greenway, breezy at the beach. Bring something to be prepared for all the weather because we ride in all weather. And bring a swimsuit and towel, and if you're going to join us at the finish. And also, bring some cash. Stick a 5, a 10, or a 20 in your shoe. Bring some money because you don't know whether or not a place won't take Apple Pay, credit card. So have something on you to be able to, the almighty dollar on you. Check-in. So, I'll go into all the different sites for check-in, but I just want to address this real quickly. We do allow volunteers under the age of 18 to join us, but they need to print out and have their parent or guardian complete the volunteer waiver and bring the completed waiver with them to check in. Without that waiver, we will not be allowed to let them volunteer for the event. So first off, our event site volunteers, I'm going to roll through that, and then I'll get into our Ride Marshal check-in. All of our Ride Marshal check-in is going to happen at the same place, which makes it easy. But the event site volunteers. So all volunteers need to check in. Start or finish line, go to the volunteer check-in tent. And at rest stop 1 and 2, volunteers find your site lead. That's going to be at rest stop 1, Miles Lewis or Josh Galley. And at rest stop 2, that's going to be Alan Zolo. When you check in, you'll receive your shirt. So, you got to check in and get that shirt. So event site volunteer check-in info for the start line at Greenpoint Landing. That's 1 Commercial Street in Brooklyn. The nearest public transportation is B43, B62, Greenpoint Ave, G-Stop, and the number 7 train at Vernon Boulevard, I believe. So when? That is going to be on Saturday from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. is going to be the volunteer assignment. Where to check in as a event assistant, you're going to head to the volunteer check-in table to check in and receive your shirt. What you'll be doing is assisting with setup, operation, and pack up of the site, checking in the riders, directing participants to place waste in appropriate bins, and after that, you're going to be packing up, and then you'll either be taken to a later rest stop or go home. Of course, you are always welcome to go to the finish line and enjoy the finish line party with us. At rest stop 1, that's Owl's Head Park. That's mile 11.8. Colonial Road and 68th Street. Oh, and about the event volunteers, if you're checking in for the start, we really advise public transportation. Do not drive to the start, all right? it's Brooklyn. Parking is not conducive at the start line. So make sure you either take an Uber, a Lyft, get a friend, bike there, take public transportation. Buses are fine if you don't have a bike, but the train's going to be your way if you're bringing a bike to the start. So back to Owl's Head. Mile 11.8, Colonial Road and 68th Street, Brooklyn, New York. Nearest public transport, B9, B64, 59th Street, stop NQ, R, and W. Where to check in? When you get there, you're going to meet with your site lead, Miles or Josh, and to check in and receive your shirt, sign your waiver, and what you'll be doing is assisting with tables and tent setup, filling water containers, directing riders, and setting up and replenishing snacks. You may be also asked to provide directional assistance to riders as a course marshal in the immediate vicinity. Walk a half a mile in this direction and wave to the riders that they need to come into this portion of the park in order to enjoy the rest stop. The next rest stop, Floyd Bennett Field, mile 23.4. And I'm going to be going over stuff kind of quickly. Remember, everything that I'm going over with you is available in the training guides that I emailed out this evening. So, take notes if something pops out to you, if you're like, hey, I have a question about that, but it's all written in there as well. Yes, Fred, you're going to need to check in. Every volunteer needs to check in. So at the finish line, Fred, you're going to need to check in at the volunteer tent. So at rest stop 2 at Floyd Bennett Field, that's miles 23.4. And that's the Ryan Visitor Center, 1 Floyd Bennett Field. This is an important part of the ride because it's kind of the juncture where the 25-milers just go to the Marine Parkway Bridge, they cross over it, and they are basically at the finish line. Whereas the 40-milers are a little bit over halfway there, and they're going to head back the way they came and then quickly head in a different direction and continue for 16 more miles to the finish line. So Floyd Bennett Field's kind of the juncture of the event. Nearest public transport is Q35. That is going to be a check-in starting at 7:30 a.m. with an assignment ending between 12:30 and 1. You're going to check in with the site lead at the event. That's going to be Alan Zolo, and you'll receive your shirt. You'll be assisting with tables and tent setup, filling water containers, assisting with handing out and replenishing snacks. You may be also helped to provide directional assistance to riders as a course marshal, either on the Marine Parkway Bridge, which is about a 10-minute walk from there, or where they cross over on a crosswalk about a half a mile in the other direction. And a helpful tip about Floyd Bennett and Owl's Head is they are accessible via car or bus. So plan ahead, parking is available. On to the finish line, Reese Park Beach Bazaar. Check-in is going to be between 8 a.m. and with an assignment going to 4 p.m. on Saturday. And it's 16702 Rockaway Beach Boulevard, Rockaway, New York. Nearest public transportation is QM 16, Rockaway Park Station A. When you get there, you're going to meet with your site lead at the check-in tent, sign your waiver, receive your shirt. You'll be assisting with tables and tent setup, filling water containers, parking and returning bicycles, directing participants to place waste in appropriate bin. You may also be asked to help provide directional assistance to riders as a course marshal in the immediate vicinity of the rest stop, like walking over to where the basically where a bus stop meets with the golf course to make sure people and riders head in appropriately. Helpful tip, Reese Park Beach is most accessible via car or bus. Plan ahead, parking is available. As far as our marshals, course marshals and ride marshals, check-in location is the Greenpoint Landing at 1 Commercial Street, Brooklyn, New York. That's going to be for everybody. The nearest public transportation for ride marshals is going to be Greenpoint Ave G-Stop or the number 7 train at Vernon Boulevard, I believe. Check your MTA. Don't take my word for it. Take a moment and check your MTA and get your ride solidified. And don't be afraid to bike there. You got wheels. It's not a bad idea just to bike right to the stop. We do not, I'll say this once again, we do not encourage driving to the start line. Check-in times for course marshals. Check-in is 7 a.m. Fast group ride marshals, that's a 15-plus mile per hour. Check-in is at 7 a.m. Leisure group ride marshals, the 10-plus mile per hour, that check-in is at 7:30 a.m. I cannot stress this loudly enough. Please get to the check-in earlier than on time. We can't get the event started without you, so please get to the check-in on time. Is there a Garmin map or something like that? Douglas, so I was actually a very knowledgeable ride marshal. Jorge passed along a way to create a Garmin map. And I've been a little bit overwhelmed with some other stuff I've had to take care of with the volunteer coordination where I haven't gotten around to doing that yet. We are hopeful to have that done by Friday and send that out to the ride marshals. But the turn sheet is available online. I know that the Garmin map actually generates a turn sheet a lot nicer. It was just brought to our attention in the last week or so, so I haven't gotten around to actually doing it yet, but we are hopeful, fingers crossed, that we will be able to have that available for you, Douglas. Great question. Appreciate you bringing that up. So okay. So when you arrive to check in, ride marshals. When you arrive, you're going to go to the volunteer. You're going to check in at the tent. You're going to receive your orange shirt. You're going to then proceed to the ride marshal meeting point. And this is really important. Look, guys, you are the pros. So do a walk around. Look at both your the other ride marshals' bikes, but most importantly, look at the riders' bikes. Catch the brakes that aren't hooked up. Catch the tires that are going to go flat before you know it. Low tire pressure. Do a walk around both there and at different rest stops. And if you notice something, catch that in advance. All right. So if you notice a problem when people are checking in, if you notice people coming in, their brakes aren't hooked up, grab them. Say, hey, you need to get this, so that in the first mile, we're not fixing a problem out there. We're getting it at the rest stop. Okay. So roles and responsibilities of our marshals. You are there to assist the riders and keep the riders on course. You're there to direct the riders. They need to obey the rules of the road, and so do you. Provide encouragement. Be their cheerleader. Remember, for some people, this could be their very first ride. So you're an ambassador of your sport. Be courteous and respectful to them at all times, but make sure that they follow the rules of the road. Be proactive and vocal. It's okay to use your outside voice. Remember, this might be someone's first ride. This might be the only competitive ride they do. They get tunnel vision. They're working really hard. Hey, you're going the wrong way. Speak up. Be loud. Vocalize to them, and don't be afraid to use your outside voice. Check in with command and your ride captain. I've been talking about this and sent this out the WhatsApp group. The link's available in the email. I can send it out to anybody else if they email me direct. The WhatsApp group is going to be the most convenient way for all ride marshals to communicate with command. My command number is listed on there as well. You can call that with any emergency besides not real emergency. Real emergencies go to our medical personnel on call, also in the training material. But the WhatsApp group is a great way to let us know if someone's changing a flat, someone's lagging behind, you notice something on the course that people should be aware of, anything like that. The WhatsApp group is a great way to communicate information in real time. I fixed 5 flats. Douglas, I love you. He fixed 5 flats even before the start. And so you guys know this. You new ride marshals, be the extra set of eyes. The pros are going to do this reflexively. They're going to look at a bike and see what's wrong with it. But the new ride marshals, or your newer ride marshals, be proactive for sure. Thanks for sharing that, Douglas. Okay, set the example. This is important. You are the face of the event. All right. Be courteous and respectful. But if someone's having a bad day, if someone came out and they're really, they're being combative and not enjoying themselves, do not make their bad day your responsibility. It's not your responsibility. That's my responsibility. That's the rest of the event staff's responsibility. It is not your responsibility. Be respectful and polite and get one of us involved. Specific examples with SAG or someone taking their helmet off, remind them, hey, you need to speed up. Hey, you need to wear your helmet. These kinds of things. If someone's being rude, someone's being aggressive to you, don't make that your responsibility. Pass that along to command. You can communicate that and, call me direct. If it's something where you've noticed a rider and then they're speeding away, the WhatsApp group is a great way to communicate with all ride marshals and course marshals to be aware of a rider. But once again, please do not make someone's bad day your responsibility. Pass that along to command and the different event staff members. And also set the example. Obey all rules of the road, okay? Keep to the right, pass on the left, ride single file on all portions of route, street, bike path, and shared paths, respecting vehicles, pedestrians, and fellow cyclists. Dismount bikes. I really can't stress this loudly enough. Dismount bikes before Marine Parkway Bridge, Cross Bay Veterans Memorial Bridge. You must dismount and walk your bike over. I'm going to be going into that a bunch of times during this training. It is super important. Fines will be given. They are aware of us doing this. We do not want the repercussion falling on us, and they will be fining you as well. So make sure you dismount your bikes, lead by example, and advocate to all riders that they 100% must dismount their bikes. No cell phone use while riding. If you must pull over, pull completely off path or road. Stay in assigned position, whether that be the fast or the leisure speed group, ride leader support, or sweep. Now, I want to talk about one other role that all our ride marshals will be filling on an as-needed basis, and that is to be a course marshal. So I'm not going to be deputizing ride marshals into course marshals per se. The expectation of all ride marshals is that if you get to a juncture, and I'll go over those junctures in a bit, but if you get to a juncture that is not appropriately staffed with with course marshals, you dismount your bike. You act as a course marshal until the next ride marshals arrive 15 to 20 minutes later. You get back on your bike, and those ride marshals act like that. And this tag team sort of style of dealing with areas where we need course marshals is a must. So if you get to an area that you feel is unsafe, that you feel is unclear, not marked correctly, we expect you to get off your bike and act as a course marshal if there is not a course marshal there in place. And if the course marshal is not doing a good job, if they're not advocating appropriately, get off your bike. And as the next ride marshal approaches and sees a ride marshal standing there, they are there to relieve them so that you can continue it. No one ride marshal is expected to stay in one spot the whole time. Will inner tubes of all sizes be provided? So we will have bike mechanics, but inner tubes will not be provided. That's not in the budget that's being provided by Brooklyn Greenway this year. So riders are responsible for bringing that. That's actually in the ride guide that they need to bring those. We do suggest bringing patch kits. We will do our best to have patch kits available within the SAG vehicles, but tubes are not being provided. Great question, Douglas. Again, thank you. All right, and contact command, the WhatsApp group. If you're only a download this app for being a volunteer here, it will make everyone's life that much easier. Download the WhatsApp group. If need be, call command. The number is in the training guides. It will also be on the FAQ cards that we'll be handing out at the start line. Providing course condition updates. Hey, there was some stones spewed across by a truck at some sort of part of the ride. Any non-emergency medical situations, and to arrange SAG pickups. And our ride marshal captains. All right. These are experienced volunteers who oversee large groups and direct the marshals within their assigned roles to provide support for participants. They're going to be one of the points of contact besides command during the epic ride for course marshals and ride marshals. You'll meet with them after you check in the marshal meeting area. And if you're interested in being a captain and I haven't already spoken to you, please contact volunteer@brooklyngreenway.org. You guys are the pros. If you are all about advocating for safety, if you've done this a few times and you don't mind articulating and speaking to people, please come out and be involved in a leader position. We have our front of the pack riders. So we're going to be sending out, ideally, we're going to be sending out 1 or 2 riders beforehand to ride through and check all the course signage. We're just trying to make sure we have enough ride marshals to do that. And then after that, we're going to have 2 ride leaders who will be the pace setters in front of the first riders, except for those people that blow by everybody and are trying to race there. But these ride leaders will actually lead the first group. They will set the pace, facilitate an easy following for the duration of the ride. They'll be mindful of the riders behind them. Remember, this is not a race, and they need to ensure that leading the participants are directly behind them. In the event that a gap develops between them and the leading participant, they pull to the side, remain visible, and wait for them to catch up before resuming the pace. They do not proceed through yellow lights. This is not a race. Please stop at yellow lights, okay? I know you guys are very, very good cyclists, but this is about enjoying the view and having a great time and going to an awesome after party. And some might call it an epic after party. So please don't blow through yellow lights. Take your time there. Okay. And then we have our middle of the pack, offering mechanical assistance to those in need, keeping the riders on course, and providing directional information and assistance to upcoming rest stops, SAG pickup locations, etc. In the event you're required to stop and assist a rider, you will rejoin the ride as a sweep marshal or wherever you pick up at that time, not racing ahead to rejoin support. And you guys know this. You ride marshals that have done this a lot. You know that when we send out the back of the pack, you're going to invariably catch up. You're going to invariably catch up to a lot of the riders. So we will probably backload and allow people to catch up to the riders riding slower. But this isn't a race. A lot of you ride marshals have done this a lot of times. You're very experienced, and we expect you to use your head and keep pace with people appropriately. And don't race the participants. But we'll have the sweep in the back of the pack. The sweep of the ride sweep will fall behind the last riders and keep contact with command regarding their location, offering mechanical assistance as needed, keeping riders on course, and providing directional information and assistance, upcoming rest stops, SAG, pickup locations, etc. If someone's riding too slow, below 10 miles per hour, notify them they need to pick up the pace. Encourage and motivate. In the event that they cannot maintain a 10-mile-per-hour pace, confirm they will no longer be supported by SAG, then proceed ahead. And the caboose, which will be our last two riders, who will ride along all the way to Floyd Bennett and then continue not over Marine Parkway Bridge, but along the 40-mile route, letting all course marshals know that the route course is clear, letting command know that the course is clear. They are the last line of defense who will let people know that they will not be supported by SAG if they do not pick up the pace, and will communicate directly with command, which is me, which sounds really fancy, command, but it's just me helping people out. To facilitate options. If the person's really not interested in picking up the pace, we can't support them, and we'll have to ask them to no longer be part of the event if they cannot maintain pace. Is Strava course GPS available? Strava course GPS available. So that might be a possibility. I know some of the riders have done that, but how long do you can't maintain? Shoot ahead, 5 minutes, 1 mile. Harv, so as far as on the 40-mile sweep, if you're interested in being a caboose, which would be the actual last of the sweep, all right, I'll talk to you specifically about directions there. But otherwise, if you're just part of the ride sweep, let people know and then kind of move along to the next group. The caboose will be the two last riders are the caboose will be the last line of defense, and those are the ones who will be communicating with me to make a decision. If someone is unwilling to pick up the pace, I'll probably have a phone call with them and tell them, we can SAG them. They can continue on the ride unsupported and discuss options with them at that point. Otherwise, if you're riding sweep and you come up to someone moving too slow and you're not the caboose, just remind them, try to motivate them, have a conversation with them, encourage them to pick up the pace. Don't just be like, hey, speed up, or you're out of luck and speed off. Be like, hey, come on, man, or hey, you're doing great. I know you're tired, but the rest stop is where you are. And that brings up an important part. Know your surroundings. Know where the bike mechanics are. Know where the rest stops are. Know where the restrooms are. Hey, we got 2 miles till Floyd Bennett. Kick up your legs. You can rest there for a while, and then it's only another 2 miles until the finish. So encourage and motivate. Don't just discourage them and say, hey, you got to pick up the pace and bike off. Try to have a conversation with them, and if you feel like somebody's actually in pain, you feel like there is a problem, communicate that, notate that to command, and it's a great chance to put that in the WhatsApp group and let people to keep an eye out for a certain rider who maybe is starting to get overheated but doesn't want to admit it, and communicate it is a big deal. Okay, course marshals. All right, you are either going to check in at the start line and be driven out, or bike yourself out to your designated location along the route. So if you're a course marshal with a bike who's willing to bike themselves out to a course location, please contact me directly if you haven't already. Otherwise, we'll facilitate with driving you out on the course. These course marshals are going to assist with safety, communication, and directions on the course. Responsibilities may include alerting participants to specific road conditions, assisting with crowd control and road emergencies, encouraging slow riders, and providing information to participants, spectators, and nearby residents. They are welcome to bring their bicycle and helmet to ride the remainder of the route after the last rider passes them by. Head over, keep people from going on the BQE. When the last rider passes by and SAG says you're good to go, you can bike the rest of the route, stop in at the rest stops, have a good time, and join us at the after party. It's a great way to be part of the event, and it's much needed. All right. Okay, the route. So just like last year, but unlike years prior, there is no spray paint on the course. All right. We are not spray painting the course. There are no street closures. Well, we wish we could close all the streets. We can't. So this is a live route. It's going to be marked by signage and arrows. You might see signs that look like this. And you might see signs that look like this. Or you might even see signs that look like this. All right. There will be hundreds, somewhere to the tune of about 200 signs of arrows marking the course. And if you do your job well, after you see all those signs at the end, you'll be allowed to go and use this sign here. That's only if you're a good volunteers get to go to the after party. So be a good volunteer. So the route's going to be marked with signage, 5 designated SAG pickup points. There should be a bike mechanic or at least bike mechanical skills available at all sites. We're still waiting to hear back on one, but it looks like we have a volunteer stepping in at Floyd Bennett. And we also have numerous ride marshals who have bike mechanic skills, of course. So our sweet peeps, just so you know, the start line, that's Greenpoint Landing. It opens at 7 a.m. for the fast start, 8 a.m. for the, opens at 7 a.m., fast starts at 8 a.m., leisure starts at 8:30 a.m., it closes at 8:45 a.m. And this will all be on an FAQ card we're going to be handing out at the event for ride and course marshals. But just to go over right now, rest stop 1, that's mile 11.8, Owl's Head Park at Colonial Road and 68th Street. It opens at 8:30 a.m., it closes at 10:30 a.m. So if you're riding along and it's 10 o'clock and your sweep and someone's 4 miles away, you're gonna have to tell them, hey, you can make it, but you need to pick up the pace if you want that rest stop to be there to be, have something for you to drink and eat and go to the bathroom and all that. Rest stop 2, that's Floyd Bennett Field, mile 23.4, opens at 9:30 a.m. and closes at 12:30 p.m. And the finish line, Reese Park Beach Bazaar, opens at 10:30 a.m. and closes at 4 p.m. And going back to Floyd Bennett, as I've said it before. What's up, Ray? Hello. So going back to Floyd Bennett, as I've said before, it is the route split. It is the juncture where you're either riding over, you're actually walking over the Marine Parkway Bridge and then riding the rest of the way to the finish line party, or you are going to be continuing 16 miles, which starts in the opposite direction of which you just came into Floyd Bennett and then quickly veers off, where you will then travel 16 more miles to the finish for the 40-mile ride. Course marshal locations. So once again, all ride marshals are expected to stand in for any of these locations if there is not a course marshal at their post, or if you feel like the course marshals aren't doing a good job. We ask you to please dismount your bike, wait there until the next course marshal comes through, and then remount your bike and continue riding. So, for example, if you come up to the place where they could be getting on the BQE, which I'll be going over in just a second, that's the first one at Stan Street and J Street, directing riders to stay all the way to their right and not to enter the BQE on-ramp, and you notice that there is no course marshal there, they've wandered off. You dismount your bikes, you direct the riders away, keeping one of you will continue with that group, of course, but one of you gets off, and then as other ride marshals approach, you remount your bikes and you do the tag team style to make sure that area is covered. And we really, I can't stress this enough, at the Marine Parkway Bridge, at the Cross Bay Bridge, we need the ride marshals to be willing to facilitate the wherewithal to act as course marshals for limited periods of time. And we ask that everybody be a team player. So no ride marshals expected to be there for an hour, but that you're spending 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes directing people before you remount your bike and are able to ride and continue the route. The course marshal locations, like I said, there are really 4 very primary ones, and there's 13 total. The first one, which is a primary one, is Sand Street and J Street, directing riders to stay all the way to their right and not enter BQE on-ramp. The second one is Fairman Street and Brooklyn Bridge Park, Pier 1, directing riders into Brooklyn Bridge Park. The third is Otsego Street and Bay Street, directing riders onto Bay Street. This is a quick turn. The fourth is Bay Parkway and Shore Parkway, directing riders onto Shore Parkway. The fifth, this is another critical spot, is Cropsey Ave and Neptune Ave, directing riders to stay to their left, to make the left to stay with traffic flow. The sixth, Amons and Brigham and Shore Parkway bike path, directing riders onto the bike path. The seventh, Flatbush Ave before rest stop 2, directing riders into the stop. The eighth, Flatbush Ave and Marine Parkway Bridge, instructing riders to dismount before getting onto the bridge and to cross the street appropriately. Number 9, and that number 8 is both bridges are a primary location. Number 9, the intersection of Marine Parkway Bridge and Reese Park Bridge, directing riders into the park for the 25-mile route. Number 10, at the large path into finish line for the 25-mile route. Number 11, East 20th Street and Cross Bay Boulevard, directing riders to cross over Cross Bay Boulevard to pick up Van Brunt Road. That's for the 40-mile route. 12, this is a critical location, the Cross Bay Bridge entrance, instructing riders to dismount before getting on the bridge. I always say 11 and 12. Make sure you cross over the street at the appropriate spot at East 20th Street and Cross Bay Boulevard. That's also a critical zone place. And, ride marshals really be aware on the 40-mile ride that that's facilitated correctly. All right. We really appreciate you advocating, being vocal, and making sure that people cross at that East 20th Street and Cross Bay Boulevard on the crosswalk. There's signs there, actual DOT signs. There will also be signs that put up by us that'll have a signage there for the Epic Ride. And then, of course, at the Cross Bay Bridge entrance. Number 13, the Rockaway Beach Boulevard and Beach 149th Street, alerting riders to turn onto the bike path of the 40-mile route. So, emergency procedures. Okay, so for emergency procedures, let me just pull up that number. I sent it over to everybody just a little bit ago. We do have an on-call volunteer, an on-call ambulance. So the number is in the course marshal and the event assistant guides. And just so you know, it's 718-398-9111. That is our EMT and ambulance and dispatch center that is designated to this. They can contact the dispatch center at 718-398-9111. In the event of an emergency during the race, there's a dedicated dispatcher for the event. So that is some really important information to have. And Crossway to take us to those two. Ray, I'm not really sure. I just know that that's Ray had a question about the Cross Bay Bridge. So you have to walk over it, and you can't ride. You have to walk your bike. I don't know why you can't stick to the street. I don't have a good answer for that, but I do know that that has been approved. That's our parade permit approved by NYPD, and we don't have any wiggle room there. So, great question. I'll run that up to the people that get the permitting. But as far as this year goes, we are crossing over the Cross Bay Bridge, dismounting our bike and walking it across. So for emergencies, we have an on-call dispatcher for the emergencies. So it's really important that, first of all, you stay calm. Panic helps no one. As a marshal, you will take lead, and you need to assess the situation. Do not move the rider, all right? Create a barrier with your body, your bike, grab another rider, grab a marshal between the rider and the flow of traffic. If there's any question whether this is serious, call dispatch. All right? If there is any question whether or not this is serious, we're dialing it and getting an ambulance involved. Someone blacks out for a second. They pop up. They say they're okay. My friend went down, dislocated his shoulder, blood everywhere. Okay? He pops up and is trying to get back on his bike saying he's okay. He's not okay. All right? Someone goes down. They put out their hand. They break their hand in 5 spots. If there's any question, contact our emergency dispatcher to deal with it. If it is not a very big deal, if it's not something to be concerned about, no worries. You can contact command. SAG issues, contact command. But for any emergency issue, stay calm, assess the situation, know where you are. Okay, call it in. Be able to convey what happened and where you are. Protect the rider. There's a lot of things going on, but protect the rider. Create that barrier. And these are all I know that we're not going to have any issues. I know it's going to be a sunny, beautiful day with everybody riding peacefully. But in the case that there is, please reference in the training guide the information there. Assess the situation. Stay calm. Take the lead. Do not move the rider. Create a barrier. Know where you are. Contact the dispatcher, and let's take care of this appropriately. Document everything. We'll be documenting it on our end, but you have your phone on you. Take photos of licenses. Take photos of the scene. Take photos of license plates. Document everything, because with the adrenaline going, you might not remember everything. But assess the situation. Protect the rider. Do not move them. Know where you are, contact the appropriate people, and take the steps to make this a safe experience. And if something goes sideways on us, let's manage it the best we possibly can. Okay, on to SAG. SAG stands for Sweet First Aid Kit Provided. There won't be first aid kits provided, Douglas, to actually the ride marshals. No. There won't be first aid kits provided, unfortunately, directly to them. There will be first aid kits in the SAG vehicle. There will be first aid kits at the rest stops. There will be embed EMTs riding along. but we will not be providing first aid kits. Unfortunately, just like the tubes, it's not in the budget for the event, and we wish it was. If you know a sponsor, send them our way. But unfortunately, it's not provided a la carte. I mean, it's a la carte, sorry. So SAG stands for Sweep and Gather. Sweep and Gather. Those are vans driven by staff members to transport riders who are unable to finish riding. You call command, or you can use the WhatsApp app to message us. About SAG pickups. You're going to stay with the rider until SAG arrives, unless otherwise given direction by command. For section of the routes that's not accessible for SAG, see if rider is able to walk to the nearest roadway. If they can't walk, then that's a dispatcher call. If someone is so hurt that they can't walk, they have serious heat stroke, we need to get the medical attention. We don't need to get them SAG'd. SAG transport riders to the finish line only, except it kind of will also facilitate catching people up appropriately. If something happens right after the first couple of miles and we get them up and running and they can hop on the SAG vehicle and we can facilitate getting them to Owl's Head so they can continue the ride with their friends, we'll do our best to accommodate. But that's not really the go-to action of SAG. It's not what it's there for. We're not a taxi service. And if things go sideways on us and we're sagging people, you know what? That's not going to be possible. So, riders might be on SAG for many hours, and that should be conveyed to them. And if the rider isn't interested in the finish line, if they're not interested in going to the epic after party, and we hope that they do, they're encouraged to walk or take public transportation or alternative means of transportation home. But if a rider is going to leave the route at any time, if they're not going to take SAG, if they decide they're going to continue on their own, they're going to go visit a friend, we do ask that you get their name and contact info, or one better, even take a picture of their license and send it over to us with their email and phone number so that we can contact them and make sure that they enjoyed themselves and answer any issues that they had about why they might have left. Please do not just leave a rider for SAG without communicating and getting explicit okay from command that you are able to leave them and that SAG is en route. All right. Primary pickups. We, of course, pick up along the route too, but if someone's like, hey, I'm feeling tired, I need to get SAG, we have 5 primary pickups that we ask to facilitate a smooth SAG operation. SAG pickup 1 is at mile 5.6 at Brooklyn Bridge Park. SAG pickup 2, mile 5.8 at Brooklyn Bridge Park. SAG pickup 3, mile 14.1, the parking lot just before the Verrazano Bridge. SAG pickup 4, mile 15, the parking lot just after the Verrazano Bridge. SAG pickup 5, the mile 21.4 at Plum Beach parking lot. So those are our SAG pickups. Now, environmental sustainability. The Epic Ride 2014 was the first Brooklyn event to become certified sustainable, and we would like to continue the tradition by being environmentally sound. So there will be trash locations, there will be a recyclable and a landfill places, and please be conscientious of this as volunteers. And if you see someone throwing something away in the wrong one, be vocal, use that outside voice. Even you ride marshals, be aware of those at the different stops. We'll help you if something serious happens. Please don't ride by them. Yes, Ray Rivera, I'll underscore that right there. Yeah, if just because you see a ride marshal stop to help someone, don't be like it's good. That could be your first time ride marshal. They could have a hand pump. You could have an actual bike pump. Stop, ask them if it's all set. If you're going to take over, direct them to move on. If they're good, then move on. We don't want 15 ride marshals hanging out with one person, but don't just breeze by someone and be like, they've got it. This could be a first time ride marshals experience, and they're just the first one on scene. Stop in, and great point, Ray. Thanks for bringing that up. So what's next? Oh, so also, if a rider is if a bike's broken, or if a rider is taken away and they're injured, what to do with their bike? All right, Craigslist. You can get quick money. No, for real though. If something happens to someone and they're taken away by an ambulance, or they're taken away by SAG, and they're wait for the SAG vehicle to pick up their bike, please. Just one little thing that I kind of steamrolled over there. All right. So what's next? Encourage everyone you know to sign up as a volunteer. I'm awesome. I'm the volunteer coordinator. You guys like me, right? Maybe. But no, for real, please tell everyone to come out and volunteer. It's a great time. It's a great chance to give back and have fun. Join us at the after party. We have a spot for everybody. We do allow youth volunteers that are 16 or older to participate. If they're younger than 16, if they're 15, we do ask that they're accompanied by a parent or guardian and to contact us. The ambulance has to take the bike. I don't know about that, Ray, but we do ask them to contact us if the youth volunteer is going to be under the age of 16, so we can make sure we have a right fit for them. Event assistance for the rest stops, the start line and finish line, and the course ride marshals. We have a position for you. Course marshals are always needed. You know, if we have 4 people in a place, why not 6? Specifically, course marshals who might just want to bike out there, be part of that course for just a couple hours, and then go on and enjoy the rest of the day or enjoy the rest of the ride. If they could not attend one of the training sessions, they can contact us direct, or you can also have them watch this training. Contact us direct. This training will be available for people that couldn't make it for the rest of the week. We are looking for people that want to be captains to step up. Morning of the event, there's going to be a fair amount of assignment beforehand and kind of knowing where people are, but we do ask that everyone be flexible in the morning with the roles that they're given. If we need someone to act as caboose, and, we're going to ask that you please step into that role. If we only have 2 caboose people or if one person doesn't show up, we're going to ask you to step into that role. If we need you to act as a course marshal, we're going to ask you to step in that role. And the more that you can get other people involved, the more that we don't need to ask people to step into other roles. But as ride marshals, we do ask that you be flexible. If we need you to, if you said, well, I signed up to be sweep, or if I signed up to be lead and we're like, well, we kind of need you to be sweep, we do ask for a little bit of, we'll keep Cannondales. We do. What does a captain do? Really, you're just, Ray, a captain's just going to be a little bit more, going to have the wherewithal to be a little bit more aware. Going to know the course, know where the rest stops are. We expect them to be able to convey that information and to also be able to, be that type A person to motivate the other ride marshals and to, just be aware. So Ray, if you feel like you're a good fit, if I haven't already communicated with you, it seems like you are, don't be afraid to speak with me next. All right. So I sent out the volunteer handbooks today and I'm going to go over a couple of FAQs. Who do I contact if I have a question? If you have further questions or concerns regarding the Epic Ride, please contact me, Brendan Dagan, at volunteer manager at the volunteer@brooklyngreenway.org. If you can also, if you're on the WhatsApp group, you can also put a question in there and it can be fielded by numerous ride marshals. The WhatsApp group is great. I send out a bunch of invitation links, download it on your phone, become a part of it, communicate on there. It's a great way to be prepared for event day and to be prepared during the event and communicate seamlessly with all ride marshals and ride captains at the same time. If a participant's waiting for SAG, do I have to wait for SAG with them? If a participant's waiting for SAG, please make sure they are on the side of the road and safe from harm's way. After they are safe, please call command and inform them their rider is waiting for SAG and provide them with location and rider information. Once you've completed this and command has given you the okay, you may continue to ride. It is a helpful way. It's helpful to also let a course marshals around you know that they are waiting for SAG. So, you go a couple miles up and you say, hey, back there, so-and-so is waiting for SAG, and you let the course marshal know. SAG drives by them. The course marshal says, hey, did you pick up so-and-so? Of course we did. That kind of communication is always appreciated. Over communicate, on event day. I'd rather get one extra message than not get the message I really needed to be aware of. A rider is taken away in an ambulance. What do I do with their bike? Craigslist. No. If a rider is taken away in an ambulance, we ask you wait for SAG vehicle and give their bike to SAG. Brooklyn Greenway Initiative will coordinate a pickup with the rider after Epic Ride. Is there transportation being provided from the finish line back to the start line? That's a hard no. Epic Ride will not be providing transportation from the finish line. Each participant is responsible for getting themselves home after their Epic Ride journey is complete. We encourage all of our participants to plan ahead, and that goes same with ride marshals. Please check your MTA, plan a ride afterwards. I think it's a straight shot back to the start from the finish. You can get there in about 15 miles. Speaking with some of the ride marshal groups that have gone out for training, but please be aware that we are not providing transportation. All right, I'm going to rattle off some super basic stuff that is right from the NYC DOT. I'm going to do it because I feel like it is that important to say this otherwise implicitly obvious stuff. I'm going to make explicitly clear. Helmets, you have to wear your helmet. You cannot be doing this ride and not wearing a helmet. You must wear your helmet on this ride. You must ride in the street, not on the sidewalks, unless a rider is age 12 or younger, and their bicycle wheels are less than 26 inches in diameter, which is none of you. You must ride in the street, not on the sidewalks. Ride with traffic, not against it. Exercise caution. Yield to pedestrians. Stop at red lights. E-bikes are not allowed this year. Oh, I'm sorry, Fred. I didn't notice that. So, sorry about that, Fred. E-bikes are not allowed this year. I actually we're looking into them for next year, but they're not allowed this year. So we appreciate that, and thank you, Matt EP, for the heads up on that. See, this whole little, I can't see, but I'm pointing at it where everyone's chatting. This is what the WhatsApp group's about. Communicating and sharing concerns right through event day, problems that might be going on. Please download the WhatsApp, join it, and it will make everybody's job as ride marshals, command, event assistants, everybody's job easier to have a place to communicate. So please join the WhatsApp group if you are a ride marshal or a course marshal. Okay, stop at red lights and stop signs. Obey all traffic signals, signs, and pavement markings, and exercise due care to avoid colliding with pedestrians, motor vehicles, or other cyclists. At red lights, wait for the green, unless you see a sign that says bikes use PED signal. Don't go through yellow lights. This is not a race. Use marked bike lanes or paths when available, except when making turns or when it's unsafe to do so. If the road is too narrow for a bicycle and a car to travel safely side by side, you have the right to ride in the middle of the travel lane. Bicycling is permitted on all main and local streets throughout the city, even when no designated route exists. Use a white headlight and a red tail light, as well as a bell or a horn and reflectors. And some safety tips. Ride in a straight line, obey traffic signals, signs and signals, and do not weave in and out of traffic. Riding predictably reduces your chances of a crash with a motor vehicle. Look, signal, and look again before changing lanes or making turns. Establish eye contact with drivers. Seeing a driver is often not enough. Make sure drivers see you before executing a turn or riding in front of a turning car. Watch out for car doors. They will not watch out for you. So be prepared for the possibility that a car door may be open in your path. When possible, leave room between yourself and parked cars. 3 feet is generally recommended so that you can avoid a door and that opens unexpectedly. Stay visible. Wear brightly colored clothing for daytime riding. At night, use reflective materials and lights. Use your bell. Your bell alerts drivers, pedestrians, and other cyclists to your presence. It is required by law to have a bell. Don't wear earphones. By law, you may wear one earbud, but keeping your ears clear is a much safer choice. Wear a helmet. I'm going to say it once again. Look, helmets are required by law for children age 13 or younger and working cyclists. Helmets are a good idea for cyclists of all ages, and they are a requirement for the epic ride. Lead by example. Wear a helmet. There's probably not enough time between now, but I'm sure all you ride marshals know about this, that the NYC gives away helmets. There are times that you can go down. The DOT will fit you at the helmet and give away helmets. If not for this year, you can learn about it for next year. Point and shout out hazards on the road. Fred, exactly. And if you notice a hazard, point, shout it out, and then communicate it to command and communicate it to other ride marshals via the WhatsApp group. Pull over, give a shout out, let people know. Okay, so we are going to, if you've done this event in the past, you might remember those bright pink vests. We are going to be giving those ideally to our course marshals and our ride captains only and our site managers, so make them easily known. If you are given a pink vest and you get to the finish line, it's not a souvenir, okay? Don't take it home, hang it up, and say, oh, look at what I did. This is a memory. No, please return it to us. Those things cost a lot of money. Once again, thank you. I sincerely mean this. Thank you. The Epic Ride happens because of you. We would not be able to put on this event without your participation. We truly, truly appreciate your involvement. And we do invite all volunteers to the after party after their shift. You can meet us at Reese Park Beach for the after party. Any questions, concerns, if you're unable to attend, we do realize things come up. Please let us know in advance as much as possible. And if you know of anybody interested in participating in the event, have them watch this lovely video that has been made for them to learn, and have them contact volunteer@brooklyngreenway.org. All right. I am going to take a quick look through the questions over here and the messages. All righty then. There is no issue with carrying a whistle, Stefania. There's no issue with carrying a whistle. Great question. All right. I don't see any other questions I haven't addressed. Does anyone have any questions? Anything that they would like to add right here? Oh, wow. I just noticed we're up to 30 people watching. I appreciate you. We've had about 75 volunteers attending different trainings over the last couple of in-person trainings, and we appreciate you 30 joining us today, catching the online training. If there are no other questions at this time, please join the WhatsApp group. It's a free app. Just go to your app store, download WhatsApp, join the group, communicate on there. If you're interested in being a captain, if you've done this before, once again, I really am going to highlight as a volunteer coordinator that we do ask you to be flexible in what we ask you to do day of. And if you're like, oh, I was going to be a leader, I'm like, look, hey, we really need your help here. Please, you join this because you wanted to be to assist with the ride. So please allow some flexibility in what you're assigned on day of. Sorry if it was mentioned before, but we've got a list of volunteer assignments. Francis, so did you sign up on Eventbrite? When you did, you would have picked your volunteer assignment, and then it would have been contacted. You should have received an email, unless you did this in the last couple of days, confirming it. If you did not sign up on the Eventbrite yet, please do. Bring zip ties. They come in handy. Yes, they do. And all the signage is going to be attached using various zip ties. So that's a great point, Douglas. All right, Francis. So if you signed up, Francis, on that, you should have received an email, unless you just signed up in the last couple of days, confirming what your volunteer assignment was, asking that you whether it be an event assistant, a ride marshal, going over your skill sets, and confirming with that. That should have been sent over to you. If you have any questions, why don't we'll talk on an email off of this. You can email me at volunteer@brooklyngreenway.org, and I'll check the Eventbrite list and see if you're one of the last minute volunteers that have signed up. We haven't sent out to them direct quite yet, so maybe you're one of those. All right, well, if there aren't any other questions, I really appreciate you taking this hour out of your day to hear me ramble and rant on, and we hope that we'll see you all enjoying and bringing friends as volunteers this Saturday. And afterwards, if you're all very good, you're more than welcome to join us at the epic after party. All right, guys, that's it for me, and I will talk to you all later.